Hello, everyone. Rob Guest from football.london here, and welcome to the latest episode of Gold and Guest Top Tottenham, sponsored by NordVPN. Joining me today, it's Lee Wilmot. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. Bit bored. No football. Well, no Premier League football or no Tottenham to keep us occupied. But I suppose, given the way we've been playing, that's might not be a bad thing at the minute.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rare one, this, with 2 weekends, no football for Spurs. It'll be a week on Thursday when Spurs return to Premier League action against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, a ground they don't fare well at all. But fingers crossed, we'll have something positive to talk about from that game.
Yeah, 2 weeks is a very strange one, isn't it? And I suppose on one hand, we're quite lucky that there's a midweek round of fixtures coming up afterwards, so it's not 3 weeks. But then, as you say, it's Chelsea away, and let's face it, we don't like going to Chelsea away.
No, not at all. I mean, results have never been good there. Last win back in 2018 when Dele Alli scored two, Christian Eriksen with that rocket as well. A repeat of that would, be the ideal scenario, I think, after a tough run, because Spurs got a huge few weeks ahead of them. So look to finish in the top half of the Premier League table and then also go far in the Europa League. So on today's pod, what we're going to be discussing first up is the international break so far. A number of Tottenham players have been in international action. There's very few who've stayed behind at Hotspur Way during the international break. But a few of them certainly making an impact, and someone who did was Cristian Romero. Over the weekend, he played for Argentina against Uruguay. They won 1-0 in Montevideo, courtesy of a goal towards the end of the second half. Romero got 90 minutes in the tank. Since his return from injury to the Tottenham team, played 3 games, only managed 190 minutes. That came against AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League, but I think we'll all agree it's just good to see him get 90 minutes under his belt.
Yes, just what's needed for him, really, isn't it? Given the injury that he's had, he was playing peacemaker a little bit, I think, as well. Those games, Argentina Uruguay games, never go off without an incident, and there was one, wasn't there? I think it was late on in the match, and from the pictures I've seen, it looked like he was trying to play the peacemaker, which we have seen him do before. So perhaps there is a bit more of a calmer head on his shoulders than there was a couple of years ago. But yeah, kind of. They never go out without a hitch, those matches. So it was nice to see him get 90 minutes. Nice to see him, as I say, trying to act as a peacemaker when the fight broke out. But yeah, they've got another game. It's the late one, isn't it? When normally early hours of Wednesday morning we have because they're playing in South America, obviously. But we don't have the game at the weekend, obviously, that he has less time to recover for it. So he's got a week after he comes back for that Chelsea game. So. Yeah, I don't know whether I want him to get another 90 minutes or just take it a bit easier. Maybe 60, 75 minutes would be nice, potentially, on Wednesday.
Yeah, it is Brazil, though, who they're facing. Yeah. So it's like no chance of him getting just 45 minutes, then you can come off at the break.
True.
And you were saying about acting the peacemaker, you might be speaking a bit too soon.
What happens
on Wednesday. But I think from a Tottenham perspective is you want him to come back and no further issues, because he needs to be in the starting 11 of the remaining games, playing consistently week in, week out, and just getting those 90 minutes under his belt are going to help him build up those fitness levels because he's so important to the Tottenham team. We've seen that since he's returned, and let's be honest, if Ange didn't hook him for the final 30 minutes at Fulham just over a week ago, probably wouldn't be talking about a 2-0 defeat, because Romero's on the pitch. I don't think Spurs concede those goals.
No, exactly. I think you're right there. And yeah, you're in a weird position, aren't we, at the minute, where lots of fans were questioning Romero going on international duty because he'd only just come back from injury. Ange Postecoglou saying he was quite happy for him to go on international duty to build up his minutes. And then on the other side of the coin, you've got Mickey van der Ven not being called up by the Netherlands, so he's not getting minutes in his legs, but can rest and put the work in at Hotspur Way. But I suppose he's been doing that with Ange for the last 2, 3, 4, however many weeks. We've kind of spotted him out there on the training pitches and has been putting the work in. Only made that one appearance. Yeah, it's an interesting one with the two of them, and it'll be interesting to see what sort of state both of them come back in when it comes to that Chelsea game. Which obviously, the reverse fixture was the fateful one where they both came back in, and everyone was excited about them being back on the pitch together after so long out, and neither of them lasted 90 minutes, and then we're out again for months after that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no fitness like match fitness, so fingers crossed for Romero. He will come back in good shape. Someone else who's had a decent international break so far, someone who certainly needed it, is Bissouma. He got 2 assists for Mali in their 3-0 win over Comoros. He's had a really difficult season, Bissouma. The amount of games where he's just been in and out of the team, I think it's his last 6 Premier League appearances, 3 of those he's been hooked at half-time, which probably, shows how it's been going for him this season. And yeah, again, someone who will be hoping to build on a positive international break, but there's certainly no guarantees when you look at the midfield options ahead of him now.
No, exactly. It's a hard one with him, isn't it? Because as you say, he has been desperately poor in the last few months, and those hooked 3 times in the last 5 matches at half-time. I think we've said it before on the pod that there's been so many occasions, and it's not just been Bissouma, there's been so many occasions this season where Andrew's had to change his midfield at half-time or soon into the second half because the starting 3 that he's chosen just haven't worked. And I don't know what that is really. He just can't seem to find the right balance in there, the right trio for every match that we play. And obviously every match is different, so you kind of do need different variations at times, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to work in the 3 that he chooses whenever he seems to choose it. And Yves Bissouma is one of them that has just really, really struggled. And I don't know. We've written quite a few stories about him in the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't know how you feel, but I don't see him having a future at the club, really.
No, I don't know, especially given the fact he's going to be soon entering the final year of his contract. It probably just makes sense for both parties to go their separate ways. Lucas Bergvall's jumped ahead of him in the pecking order. Archie Gray potentially is going to be used as a central midfielder at some point soon. You'd like to think. Played okay there against Fulham. So maybe he will get more game time in what remains of this season. But for Bissouma, I said that on the last pod, he's played his way out of the team and might now be playing himself out of the club. I just think with 1 year on your contract left probably does make sense for both parties, to go their separate ways this summer.
I think if you ask the majority of Tottenham fans at the minute, you Bergvall straight in there in the 3 in midfield, and then you play Maddison in the 10 or Kulusevski when he's fit in the 10. It's one of those 2 in a second position in midfield, and then there's only one position up for grabs. And if you look at it, I think a fair number of Spurs fans would probably pick Bentancur, and I think a fair few more will then pick Sarr. I think he's 3rd down the list when it comes to that other spot.
Yeah, I think first choice midfielder did something on it last week. I think it's now Bentancur, Bergvall, and Maddison. I know Decky's played centrally this season, but you need to find a way of getting both Decky and Maddison in the team. So I think Decky might end up going back on the right wing, and that means Odegaard, Tell, Brennan Johnson subs. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. On the subject of Lucas Bergvall, he wasn't in international action on Saturday. He was due to be against Luxembourg. Sweden were playing them away from home. Jondal Thomasson, Sweden's manager, had said during the week Bergvall was going to be starting. First international start, made 4 senior appearances prior to that. All coming off the bench. And then I think it was Wednesday, it was reported in Sweden Bergvall's been ill. And it was enough to rule him out of the game on Saturday. So unsure whether he'll feature. I think it's tomorrow night against Northern Ireland in Stockholm. Hopefully he does, because he's been waiting an awful long time for this first international start for Sweden. And undoubtedly it will be the first of many because he's such an impressive player. But it's one of these where he's missed out. And thankfully, from a Tottenham point of view, at least it's not an injury. It's just illness.
Exactly that. That's what we're grateful for. Small mercies on that front. I don't know what Spurs fandom is like in Northern Ireland. I don't know how many people listening to the pod will be tuning into that one because they're watching Northern Ireland and get to see Lucas Bergvall as well. But yeah, it'd be great for him, I think, if he was to get that start, because he was told he was going to be starting at the weekend and then has fallen ill and not been given that opportunity. And yeah, would be great for him to get that first start for the senior side and just build on the season he's having at Spurs. Last time I was on the pod, I waxed lyrical about Lucas Bergvall. You don't need me doing it again, do you? Really? No. We all know how I feel about the young lad at the minute. One of the first names on the team sheet. So it'd be good to see if he can get that start. It's a little while then. There's not another game for Sweden. I'm just looking here until June, apparently.
Yeah, so, I think they've just got one in the calendar.
Yeah, randomly
as well, rather than the two. Bergvall, if he does play, potentially could come up against Jamie Donnelly, who made his senior Northern Ireland debut on Friday night against Switzerland in a 1-1 draw. I think Donnelly came on just prior to the hour mark. Almost scored as well. A really good glancing header at the near post. Keeper tipped it over the crossbar. I'm sure he made an impression in his game time and probably will have put himself in a place to maybe start Michael O'Neill's team in Stockholm on Tuesday. Donnelly wearing the number 10 on the back of his shirt. I think, as I was saying with Bergvall, this is going to be like the first of a number of international appearances for him for Northern Ireland.
He's an interesting one, isn't he? Because the season he's had at Leyton Orient made all the headlines with that non-goal against Man City that went down as an own goal. It was a real shame for him. But prior to that, he was doing some great stuff for Leyton Orient and making headlines on loan there. It's been a little bit sour in the last month or so, hasn't it, for Leyton Orient? But he's one that's always kind of been on the fringes at Tottenham, and one of these youngsters that people are expecting big things of to come through. Him and Alfie Dorrington and Mikey Moore, they were the kind of three that were being spoken about, weren't they? It'd be interesting to see what Ange does with him if it's Ange, what he does with him in pre-season, and where he kind of slots in if he goes on the tour. I'm sure he will when he comes back, and then what kind of chance he's then given to kind of prove himself, because there's a lot of players vying for positions in that midfield and kind of forward line at Spurs at the minute.
Yeah, there is. The young players always get a chance in pre-season, and I suppose this is one of the rare occasions in the summer where the vast majority of the Tottenham players are going to be available right from the get-go at the start of July. Obviously, no Euros, no World Cup. I'm not sure, is he a Copa America this summer? I don't know off the top of my head, but no. He certainly deserves a shot in pre-season. But I think you just got to look at it in terms of the Tottenham squad. There's so many players ahead of him in the pecking order, but he's done everything right at Leyton Orient this season. He'll return a better player for all his minutes in senior football that he's got, because it's his first loan spell away from Spurs. And if he can replicate what he was doing for Leyton Orient this season in Tottenham's pre-season friendlies, then it'd be great to see him have a crack in the Tottenham team, because he's certainly got the qualities. I think it's one of these where you've just got to give him an opportunity to see how he could have done. And maybe if he stayed at Spurs in the first half of the season, he may well have played quite a bit, just because of the number of injuries.
There are plenty of people thinking that, aren't there? Yeah. They could have got in with an opportunity. He was. He'll be one. I don't know how old is he now, Jamie Donnelly?
20, I think.
20, yeah. So still only 20. He's still got plenty of time on his side. So it's not like he's. Just look what happened with Harry Kane. Had the number of loan spells that he did before he came in and established himself. So I think every loan player that comes through at Tottenham will always have that in the back of their mind, that they can make it. Harry Kane's shown that you can. So he'll be another interesting summer for him, I think, and probably not just one. There probably might even be another interesting summer the year after, before he potentially makes it in. But he's clearly got the talent, and he's clearly well regarded at Spurs.
Yeah, very much so. Another youngster will be hoping for some minutes over the remaining few games of the season is Dane Scarlett. He's been featuring regularly in the matchday squad. He was captaining England on the 20s against Portugal. It's actually England's elite league squad. I think they were formerly known as the under 20s. Got a goal to his name. I think I was reading that's 11 goals in 11 games for the 21s in the elite league squad. So he's certainly showing his form on the international stage. Now it's just about getting those minutes in the Tottenham shirt, because I think when he has come on in games this season since he returned from Oxford, and he's had a good amount of minutes, he tends to make an impact. Got the assist against Ipswich, scored and assisted against Elfsborg, and then there's been a couple of occasions where he's come on in the last couple of minutes, not enough time to make an impact, but he's certainly doing everything right at the moment. The thing is, in the next few games, you'd like to think Richarlison's back, so that might mean Dane misses out on the squad, but all he can do when he's playing is score goals, and that's what he does in an England shirt.
Yeah, it's probably a surprise to a lot that he was captain of that elite league squad, really. But yeah, stood up and got his goal and led the team really well. Potentially a couple of other players, and Mario Koza-Dubry and Brooke Norton-Cuffy have obviously got good experience behind them as well that perhaps could have led the team. But yeah, great for Dane to wear the captain's armband. I don't know, is that the first time he's done that for one of the?
I think he's done it before.
Oh, he has. Okay.
Honest. Yeah.
Yeah, fair play to him. But yeah, who would have thought, given kind of that he on loan at Oxford and then comes back, and Will Lancashire was the one that was kind of the one on the bench and being the backup when the injuries were happening. And then Lancashire goes out on loan and Scarlett's called upon to be part of the squad. So yeah, good luck to him. Hopefully he can kind of push on. He's another one that kind of is just waiting and hoping to make that impression. It's never quite worked out for him on loan, has it?
No, I know a lot were probably pointing at the Oxford loan this season in terms of a lack of minutes, regular starts, but I didn't think it was a bad loan for him at all. He'd gone to a club where they've got a recognised striker, managed to force his way in, got onto a bit of a goal scoring run. Then I think the change in management with Gary Rowett's just didn't work in his favour, because Rowett brought in, I think it was Tom Bradshaw, who worked with Millwall, brought in another striker. So that meant Dane was dropped down the pecking order. So it was probably the right thing for him to go back to Spurs. And it's the way it goes sometimes. You might not get a game at Oxford, but if there's injuries at Spurs and you're needing a goal, then not a bad player to bring off the bench. Someone else who's done well over the international break, Wilson Odobert for France on the 21s. There was a bit of a Tottenham reunion in that match. There was Odobert and Tell playing for France. Archie Gray came off the bench for England under 21s. France won 5-3. Odobert with 2 assists for Hugo Ekitike of Eintracht Frankfurt, who ended up getting a hat-trick. Hopefully not a sign of things to come in the Europa League early next month.
It's a sign of what's been happening for Wilson Odobert since he came back from injury, though, isn't it? He's kind of come back and really set his Tottenham career alight straight away since he's come back from injury. He's been really, really positive in his play, which is what Ange Postecoglou saw in him and why he signed him. Obviously, we just kind of didn't see it as he kind of settled in and then picked up that injury. So yeah, he's just carrying on where he's left off, and hopefully he can do likewise when he comes back from international duty and put Chelsea to the sword on in that midweek game next week. Matisse Tell, you mentioned there, obviously playing, and Archie Gray getting on the pitch for that under-21 game. Really good for them, but yeah, as you say, Ekitike, what a season he's having at Eintracht Frankfurt, and he's the one that we're going to have to keep quiet in the Europa League game, and he's the issue, which is why we need Van der Ven and Romero out on the pitch, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. There were a number of other Tottenham players involved in international action. Destiny Doggy started both of Italy's games against Germany, both high-scoring games. Yesterday's one in Germany finished 3-3. Pedro Porro started Spain's game away at Netherlands in the Nations League. I think he was on Thursday. Was on the bench yesterday, but came on for the last 25 minutes. Spain won on penalties to advance through to the semi-finals. Vicario for Italy's not played because Donnarumma's been there. And then Ben Davies, goal and an assist for Wales in the 3-1 win over Kazakhstan. Not bad at all for a defender, that.
No, absolutely not. Not the best country in the world, Kazakhstan, as in terms of footballing nation. But yeah, you don't expect that from a centre. Was he playing centre back or was he playing left back for Wales? You know,
No, he'll have been playing centre back.
Okay. Yeah, and pretty good that for Ben, and he'll come back with a bit of confidence. Is unlikely to get into the first 11 picture at Tottenham when he comes back, but yeah, that's great for him, and just carrying on, just being what a steady and solid customer he is. Always there, always when called upon.
Yeah, right. We're halfway through today's pod, so Lee, in Ali's absence, is going to tell everyone about the benefits of using NordVPN.
We haven't mentioned Ali yet, actually, have we? We haven't said that he's away on holiday. Did he time this right with the holiday, that he must have foreseen that Spurs were going to be missing in action for 2 weeks, or is this he just got lucky?
I think he probably just got lucky, to be honest. I just think must just pick random dates and it's worked in his favour. So there we go.
Well, hopefully he's using NordVPN on his travels to keep an eye on how the Spurs players are getting on international duty, and keep an eye on football.london for all the outstanding work you're putting in, Guesty, in his absence. But if you're not aware by now, obviously, the Golden Guest Talk Tottenham podcast is sponsored by NordVPN, and you can use the service in a host of different ways to enhance your internet experience. NordVPN is the fastest VPN in the world, and that means there's no buffering, no lagging, and you can stream your favorite shows from anywhere in the world without your bandwidth throttling. You can use Nord to set your device to thinking it's back in the UK and just watch your shows as normal. Not only that, but the outlay on the NordVPN subscription is cheaper for you in the long run, and that's because you can purchase streaming services in other countries at a much cheaper rate. So, for example, you can change your virtual location to pretty much anywhere in the world and book flights from there, or any other country you want to book flights from. Security-wise as well, it's a great system for pretty much going as far as you possibly can to stop people stealing things off your device if you connect to a public Wi-Fi too. It's such a clever app that you can install it on any device you've got, quite frankly, and it's very easy to set up. There's a whole host of other benefits from signing up to NordVPN, so why not give it a go? To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/goldguest. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box.
So there was a match at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday with Spurs' legends playing against AC Milan Glory. Spurs running out 6-2 winners on the day. 5-0 up at half-time. Andrea Pirlo scoring an absolutely incredible free kick in the second half as well. I mean, he could still play, Pirlo. So good. But I think it was an event what everyone liked, and it links into something we're currently doing at football.london this week, and that's Tottenham's best 25 players of the last 25 years. I know you've been over this. Do you want to explain it all and maybe name the 25?
Oh, I'm not sure I can. If everyone's seen the story we did last week, it's obviously international break, and we've got another weekend without football next weekend. So we thought we'd do something a little bit different, and given it's 2025, we'd kind of work out a list of the top 25 players of those 25 years. I initially had a list of, I think, about 35 or 36 that I gave to our good friend Alistair Gold and asked him to whittle it down to 25. And yes, we're running a piece a day this week. So the one's gone up today. If you're listening to the podcast on Monday, the first edition's gone out today. Numbers 25 to 21, and then we'll do 5 players every day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, until we get to what we deem to be the top 5 players of the last 25 years on Friday. There is an opportunity for readers, fans to have their say as well. We've got a poll which we published last Friday for you to have your say. You can choose your top 5. So we'll be running your top 5 either later in the week or next weekend as well, and see if it kind of matches up with our football.london one as well. But yeah, it's just a bit of fun for a break in actual Tottenham play this week. And yeah, I suppose we can reveal the first 5, can't we? Since they're already on site today.
We can do. So go on then. Go ahead. Positions 25 to 21.
Yeah, so number 25, we went with a current player, Dejan Kulusevski, who may not have been around that long, but I think is a firm fan's favourite currently, and has shown, particularly this season, has been the standout player of the season for Spurs this year. And maybe had a dip kind of in the middle of his time with Spurs, but when he first came in, I thought was brilliant. Then had that dip and has been brilliant again this season. So yeah, I think he's well worth being at number 25 on the list. 24, we're going back a few years to one of my favourite players growing up, which is weird because he was a right back in Stephen Carr, just kind of gave everything to the club at a time. And I think I wrote in the piece today, at a time when Spurs were not great defensively. He was kind of a standout at right back and always gave 100% and will always be remembered for that goal against Manchester United in a 3-1 win as well. 23, we've got someone who played in that Legends game yesterday and was actually, I saw, shown a yellow card by Robbie Keane yesterday for an awful pass up the pitch. Michael Dawson, 9 years with the club, still affiliated with the club now in an ambassadorial role. I think it is, always doing lots of videos and bits and pieces on social media with the media guys. Still clearly loves the club, and another one who just wore his heart on his sleeve and in that defence alongside Ledley King. Didn't play in that 2008 League Cup final because he was injured, and we all know what his replacement did in that final in the end, but was part of that squad that actually won a trophy in the last 25 years. It's almost a kind of a defensive five in the five today, apart from Kulusevski. Number 22, we've got Cristian Romero, another current player. No nonsense defender. I think he's well loved at the club, and he's a World Cup winner. So you can't really leave him out of a top 25 players for your club, can you? When you've got a World Cup winner in the ranks. And continuing the defensive theme, number 21, Toby Alderweireld, who I think, in my description of the five today, I called a Rolls Royce of a defender. Just so good to watch, so comfortable on the ball, just quality player, and made up probably one of our best centre-back duos of recent times. And yes, his defensive teammate will probably be on the list somewhere later on in the week.
Yeah, there's some good players on there. I've no idea who the top five is, not privy to it, but I think for my top five, you'd probably be looking at in there Kane, Bale, Modric, who else? Richarlison.
I knew that was coming.
No, I don't think Richie will be in there, but I think Son will be in there as well. Ledley King. I'd like to think Jan Vertonghen's in and around there as well, because he served Spurs so well over a lengthy period of time. And I think when you always get these lists of 25 players, a lot may favour the attacking players. I mean, we've seen it 21st to 25th, how many defenders are in there.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think Vertonghen will be up there high in the list because he was brilliant for Spurs. So yeah, I'd probably be going those 5, 6, 7 players in the top 7. Not Richarlison though.
I can confirm, apart from Richie, they are all up high up the list of what you said. I don't want to give too much away because we do want people to enjoy the kind of countdown of the next 4 days. But yes, they are all they all feature quite highly, quite prominently on the list. But yeah, keep an eye out on football.london for the list. And the poll is going in every story as well. So you've still got an opportunity to pick your 5 and have your say for what you think the top 5 will be. But there's probably, you've said there's probably 6, 7, 8 players that could potentially make up the top 5. I think there's a few standout ones out of everyone that's played in the last 25 years.
Yeah, I'd probably say number 1's nailed on. Who's going to get that? But who knows? We'll wait and see. And I believe it'll be next week. We'll be revealing the public vote for Spurs.
Yeah. So either on the weekend or beginning of next week, we'll reveal the public vote.
Yeah. So as Lee said, just have your say on the website. It's in all the articles. Vote for your number one Tottenham player over the last 25 years. We'll leave that there for today's latest episode of Golden Guest Top. Tottenham. It's only going to be a short podcast as not a lot's happened at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
We didn't talk about Robbie Keane's hat-trick in the Legends game. Rolling back the years.
You can mention it now then.
He scored. I can't remember who it was. Was it a couple of years ago? There was a Legends game I went to with my children. And he
was it Inter Milan?
That might have been Inter Milan, yeah. Yeah, great to see him score a hat-trick yesterday. Some of the defending was left a bit to be desired. Let's be honest, but I can't do the cartwheel anymore though. Was only doing the forward roll in the guns. Didn't do the cartwheel beforehand in his celebration.
Right. Okay then. I'm sure there'll be another Legends game at some point. Always tends to happen during the international break, as I've said. Seen Inter Milan, AC Milan now at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but yeah, another popular event, and I think one for Tottenham fans. It's just great to see your heroes back on the pitch, and yeah, Robbie Keane getting a hat-trick, Jermaine Defoe scoring, Sandra and Michael Brown as well.
And there was Peter Crouch scoring for Liverpool Legends against Chelsea at the weekend as well, and bringing out the robot celebration again.
And obviously the Spurs fans as well treated to that brilliant Andre Pirlo free kick as well. So good weekend in all. Right, we'll be back next week or potentially even Friday, depending what happens at Spurs this week. But in the meantime, just keep with us at football.london for all your latest Tottenham news. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/goldguest. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box.